Argentina cannot get any of those teams that are from South America. Yeah.
CTV is on. All right, welcome back to KCTV 5 Plus. It is our World Cup final draw coverage with I'm Gabe Swartz, Neil Jones, and we've also got Roger Espinosa and Bill Hurlbrink out at Power and Light. Neil, we're starting to get the news of which teams are going to which pots. What are you looking at the most so far?
Well, it's not in stone, but Germany is going into Group E, which Kansas City hosts one of those stage matches. So the ninth-ranked German team has a very good possibility of coming to Kansas City. And in Group F, the same thing can be said for the Netherlands. They're ranked number 7. These are two countries whose teams, their fans follow their team very closely. You and I can talk about it. We got a guy out there in Roger Espinosa who's played in the World Cup. I say, as much as I hate to throw to Bill Hurlbrink, we got to so we can hear what Roger has to say. Hey, guys.
Hey, Neil, this has been finally we're getting down to sticks and stones here for the draw, and it was just maybe – Roger, like you said, you played in this already. We talked about the group of death already, and we may already start to see a group of death forming in Group C so far.
Yeah. First of all, it's looking good for Mexico and U.S. right now and Canada, but Group C is starting to shape like it's going to be the group of death with Morocco there. I was telling Bill earlier, we do not want to get, as the United States, get Morocco. They're a great team. They're a tough team to play. Brazil got them. Brazil is a powerhouse, and so it looks like another team adds to that group, another high-ranked team adds to that group, and it's going to be the group of death, definitely. One of the group of death. I think there'll be a couple more.
Now, you were talking earlier about an advantageous draw for the U.S. Would not be a European team, not a South American team. So now in the USA's group, Australia. So that's got to be an advantageous pick for the USA.
Exactly. That was a great pick. We want to play teams. Obviously, not to underestimate them. They're a great team, but we know the European with a lot of history. And I think that was a great draw so far for U.S.
Okay, so we're only, 5 groups in here on pot 2. There's still 2 other pots to go. What are just kind of your thoughts here on everything as how it's proceeded so far?
I mean, this is exciting. It's exciting. You get to see, and then you get to figure out where's after the group, where's that game going to be? Is it going to be in Kansas City? Who we get in Kansas City? A lot of people cheering that Argentina can end up here, you know?
Yeah.
And then so is Germany. And so that's exciting to see teams that are like World Cup champions, and they might end up in Kansas City. You know?
We can see that level of play here in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium.
And you'll see the city come into life crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So Gabe, Neil, it's been incredible out here to talk with Roger just about everything that's going on and seeing what teams are going to come here. And again, like you guys said, not 1 but 2 World Cups that he's played in here, and it's really been exciting to see and hear his expertise in this process. And as we go through the next several months here, as we get ready to see World Cup play in Kansas City, his analysis and expertise is just going to go that much further to get the KCTV 5 Plus audience ready for World Cup soccer.
All right, thanks, Bill. We know that Kansas City is very likely to see Argentina come to Kansas City. Roger, I'm curious your thoughts on the idea of Messi and coming back and the reigning World Cup champions, what that means for Kansas City.
Oh, it means a lot. But they're going to get to see the world of Argentina, how they celebrate as a nation. You know, Argentina has fans that come only to hang out. They don't even want to go in the stadium. They want to be around the city and celebrate and put in the pressure and setting that atmosphere around the soccer world. So if Argentina ends up here, it will be a great accomplishment for the city, because the game is going to grow even bigger in Kansas City just because kids are going to be able to see all that.
And I mean, we saw it just at the Inter Miami game here last season itself, just how busy it was to get into Arrowhead Stadium just to see Lionel Messi. Now you think about rest of the team coming along with them for that, and it's just going to be 10 times crazier than that game was.
Absolutely, and just the location being in Kansas City, where you can get to Kansas City from anywhere in the United States. You know, it's just not a East Coast or West Coast game. You know, it's right in the center where so many states surround Missouri, and it's just going to make it a very accessible game.
Yeah. Guys?
All right, thank you, Bill and Roger. We know that Group J has such a profound impact on Kansas City because it will have 2 group stage matches. We're still figuring out all of the teams that will be assigned to each pot. Neil, your reaction to Argentina being in Group J and likely coming to Kansas City?
No, it's like inviting the Kansas City Chiefs to your country. This is back when the Chiefs were rolling, like a year ago, when they were going for a 3rd straight Super Bowl. Argentina is going for a 2nd straight World Cup. They may or may not have Lionel Messi with them, but even if he does not come, he will be here watching, but there will be hundreds of thousands of people following that very closely. And I've got to believe there's going to be tens of thousands of Argentine fans in the United States following those matches. I think it's going to be unbelievable fun, and I hope we do indeed get them. I think it will be great.
Yes. So, all right. So far, we know that Group D, which is the United States group, has the United States and has Australia. I heard Roger talking about Morocco and the worry about Morocco being in the group, and they're not in the U.S.'s group. Roger, can you kind of explain what makes them so concerning and why it's a good thing that they're not in the U.S.'s group?
Morocco, we want to say, many people would call them the dark horse. Some people wouldn't, just because they've been doing well for the last 4 years. They've done well in the African Cup of Nations. They have notable players like Hakimi on their team. And the other team that I was talking about is Ghana, too. We don't want to end up with Ghana in our group. Ghana has always been a team that beats the U.S. It's a tough team. Has a lot of players in Europe. And so that's another team that I would want to avoid. And we avoided Morocco. Now hopefully we avoid Ghana and for one of the pots. I think they're in pot 3, so that would make it a successful group for U.S. if we avoid that here soon.
Yeah, so I think we've gotten through pot 1 and pot 2, if I'm seeing right here, but still lots of stuff to go. Gabe, back to you. I'm sorry about that.
No. This is Neil Jones, Bill. I was just going to ask Roger,
okay.
What is this day like around the world? It is a little before 7 p.m. London time, Greenwich Mean Time. So it's prime time in Europe. What is it like around the world as this draw gets announced?
It's a holiday. It's literally a holiday around the world. And only because of how much of a business and how much it changed the economy in every country does in the World Cup. This is why you want your team to be in the World Cup, because restaurants, hotels, everybody, they want their national team to be in there. So if your team it shuts down the world, TV stations, and so every single country, especially European country where soccer is really big, South America, even in Asia, they're shut down. All the restaurants are open. Regardless of what time it is, it could be early morning or late night in some places, and it means everything to them. It means everything to see their team being named. It just pride, emotions, all built up in one.
He was a star in Kansas City for Sporting KC, but Roger Espinoza was also a star for his Honduran World Cup team. When you played in the World Cup, how much did you notice about the host cities that you were in, because you're so focused? And then can you talk about how the fans follow you everywhere?
Yeah, they try to make routes where the buses and the teams go, because fans are all over the place. And I keep telling people here in Kansas City, it will be completely packed. It will be packed. We got to be ready to embrace these people, and we don't have to change anything that we do in Kansas City because we already are nice people here. So we don't have to worry about that. That's for New York to worry and for other places, right? But for us, for us here, it's when I was in South Africa, the vuvuzelas is the trumpet they had. They're loud. They made noise. When I was in Brazil, people was all over the streets. You can hear them outside the hotel. And Honduras being a nation of, very small nation, they always go for the underdog. So we always felt like the country that we were in kind of supported us in each game. So that's how it feels for a lot of the small nations. And for Honduras, we felt that way. We felt the fans.
Yeah.
Roger, I've covered enough. I started working at Channel 5 in 1993, so I remember the 1994 World Cup. Every year, every World Cup, all I hear is, hey, this is the best U.S. side we've ever had. I'm sick of hearing that. Is this team really got a chance to be successful, or is that just American red, white, and blue propaganda?
Hey, I grew up watching all the guys that play in the U.S. in the past. I grew up, and I always said they were great national teams. But this one, we have guys who have played at Chelsea. We have guys playing in the Premier League. We have guys playing in Italy. We have guys playing in Spain. And some of these guys are teammates in some of the top teams at Juventus, AC Milan, Bournemouth. We have guys even in Germany. So I believe these guys have the experience, and not to say that these guys are in their early 20s. They have the stamina, they have the experience, and they have the pride, to represent America. And so, the game is bigger here. People knows now what's going on. People in Kansas City knows what's going on. 2 or 3 World Cups ago, the game was still growing, and I feel like now people know, these players know what it means. And it's here in the United States. I think they're ready. This team, to me, is the best team.
And can you highlight a little bit more about that? Just talk a little bit about the difference between playing for a club versus playing for your country.
Yeah, playing for your country, at the end of the day, you understand the culture. You understand what you're playing for, your people, the pride that it brings, to be an American and to be a Brazilian or it's your whole country expecting you to do well. It's a lot of pressure, but I would say it's great pressure. It's the pressure you want to have, player, because it's the biggest stage and what you dream as a little kid to be on. So everybody plays amazing in club, but they only play well in club because they want the ultimate goal, which is
to
this, play. Yeah, which is where we at right now, which is the World Cup.
All right, guys.
All right, so we just got news of the Pot 3 team for the United States, and it will be Paraguay. They are the 39th ranked team in FIFA at the moment. So right now, Group D as it stands is the United States, which is the 14th ranked team in the country, or in the world, excuse me. Australia at 26, and then Paraguay at 39. Roger, your thoughts on Paraguay and how they stack up?
I said earlier I didn't want to end up with any teams in South America, but if I end up, would have been either an Ecuador or a Paraguay. The reason being, they're not as your powerhouse like obviously we can't get Argentina or Brazil, but then you have Colombia in there, you have Uruguay. I know we just beat Uruguay like 6-0, but that was a friendly. It becomes a lot different when you're in a World Cup. They have one World Cup. They're a soccer nation. They're a small nation, but is a tough team to play. And I'm with Paraguay. They're a great team. They have also a lot of guys in Europe. They're up-and-coming nation. And for me, if you're going to get someone from those areas, from South America, Paraguay or Ecuador would have been one of the teams that I would say that you want to end up with.
So far, we could say this is probably another beneficial pick for the U.S. group there.
Yes, it's a very accessible group.
Yeah.
It's a very accessible, with all the respect that every single team deserves. Sure. It's a very accessible group.
Guys.
Great. I think that's good news for American soccer fans so far. Neil, your thoughts on how the group's shaking out?
Well, I love it. I mean, if they indeed get those two teams, and I understand that they're both ranked below the United States, but history tells us they're probably skill level equal to the United States, but it's not the group of death. I mean, Roger, we've seen the United States. I know it's happened to you as well with Honduras. You get stuck in a group and you're like, how do we get out of this to get to the knockout round?
Yeah, you just mentioned U.S. in 2014. That could go down as one of the best teams for U.S. just because they were in the group of death.
Yeah.
They had, if I can remember, they had Germany in their group and Ghana, and they went out of that group. That was a very difficult group, and they went through it. the year that I played in 2010, we had the champions, which is Spain, who ended up winning the World Cup. And we had Switzerland, and we had, if I can remember, Switzerland, Spain, and Chile.
Okay.
Who was a South America ranked team too. So that made it extremely difficult for us to get out of the group because you have all those teams battling to go top of their group. So that was very difficult.
Okay. And again, we're looking at that Group C, which might have started setting up as a possible group of death with Brazil and Morocco. It looks like Scotland just got put in that
Scotland.
group.
Oof.
So that's going to be a tough one for them, guys, as they begin their group play there.
Yeah.
Roger, can I ask you a question about the English team? I am stunned that Scotland and England, which have always played long ball, they don't value possession, they kind of do things their way. They're very, very chauvinistic about that. Both England and Scotland are playing more technically sound soccer, following what you do in South America and Central America.
It just shows you how much the game is evolving in this world. Now there's more TV. Now you can see more games around the world. And I think that makes it more accessible for kids. And kids is like, I want to play like that. And then coaches start scouting. I'm like, oh, I like how that team plays in Argentina. I like how that team plays in England. And for the Scottish, it's the same. They started, the English Premier League is the league that brings most of the foreigners. And so they get to see those styles. And I think that they start realizing after not winning many World Cups, I think the last time England won was in the 60s. And so now it's like, how can we get to the level of Brazil, Argentina, Germany, and all these countries that have won recently? And they probably want to get into that game, and they want to say, well, if we want to compete, we have to almost follow a little bit of their game without losing our culture as a team. And so that's why I see it. That's why Scotland is in the World Cup too, because they started playing that way. They were getting eliminated year in, year out, always. And so now they're kind of started following that game, and you can see how their player, which is McTominay, who plays on Napoli, just got announced to be the best player in Italy. He won the best player in Italy, and that shows you those guys can now go play overseas. Back then it was only in Scotland or in England. Now they're going even to top leagues in the world.
Yeah.
So, Roger, we see you there at Power and Light. Have you ever had the opportunity to be at Power and Light during a Team USA match? The Women's World Cup or some of the women's matches happen during your season, but on some of your days off. Have you ever been down there to see soccer fans take over and watch the matches there at the Power and Light?
Fortunately enough, I haven't, because I've been playing with Honduras in a World Cup. So I got to brag about that a little bit. I watched some games, but it hasn't been like other World Cup games later on. In 2018, I watched other teams, but I didn't watch the U.S. play here. It still gets a little bit crazy. I watch on TV how it is here in Power and Light, and I watch some videos and stuff. But I'm not surprised about it. Kansas City goes all out. It's any sport, and this is a perfect setup for soccer fans, and I have no doubt it's going to go crazy. Right now it's going crazy, and it's just going to continue to be that way because it's just a soccer city.
And Neil, I'll tell you, I was down here for that 2010 matchup where the U.S. took on, I think it was Algiers, and Landon Donovan hit that equalizer, the one to go ahead there in the 91st minute, and this place just erupted. I'd say it was almost on par for when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl or when the Royals won the World Series. It was incredible and pandemonium down here.
I was down there the day that the United States played Germany in the 2014 knockout round, and the United States, I believe, was down 2-0, and that was a team that had Graham Zusi and Matt Beasler on it. They got down 2-0. They scored a goal, and the entire structure shook for American men's soccer. Women's soccer, I get. That's where the crowds have come because they're the best in the world. But for the American men, it was like there was a mini earthquake. The camera shook. Everything's going on. It was unbelievable. Hey, Roger, we've missed you out at Children's Mercy Park. It is great that you're finally on our team. We're going to love this month or this summer.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I always want to be in a team. I'm a team player, and so being on teams, I'm not in individual sports. I like to be in a team, so I'm happy that I'm here with you guys, and I get to enjoy the game that I love with you guys here.
Yeah, man, and he showed up wearing the KCTV5 jacket on today. He's decked out, ready to go, guys. Yeah.
Unlike you, Bill, as usual, he's up to speed, and Bill does what Bill does. I'm surprised you're not wearing purple.
That's right. Well, Well, we can talk about Colin Klein if you want to.
A different football for the day. We also have just found out.
Football, exactly.
We have just found out the first match of the World Cup will be Mexico against South Africa. So that is Mexico in Group A against South Africa. They are the pot 3 team in Group A.
And that's not an accident.
Good
That's
fact.
a little. Yeah, that's not an accident. FIFA tries to set something up big. It's very much like what the NFL does with the Super Bowl champion playing at home against somebody. They know that that's going to be a standalone match, and they always want it to be something intriguing, something different.
Yep. The first match of the World Cup in South Africa was Mexico against South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
So now
So that's 2010?
that was 2010. So now
Yep.
the host nation, one of the host nations, Mexico gets to play against South Africa.
So it's basically flip-flop just 15 years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was the last time that South Africa was in the World Cup. So they are making their return in 2026.
there you go.
A little bit of a synchronous there.
Roger, how serious should we take the FIFA World Rankings? They have the World Rankings has the United States rated ahead of the other two hosts, better than Mexico, who beat them in the CONCACAF final a year and a half ago or whatever, and then also better than Canada, which smoked them here at Children's Mercy Park last fall. Is the United States, in your mind, really worthy of being ranked ahead of Canada and Mexico?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. We see in the U.S., I know Mexico had the best out of the U.S. in one or two games, but I think one game doesn't mean much. I think the U.S. has, in the last decade, has been building a powerhouse here, and I feel that U.S. deserves to be in that. And obviously the rankings can mislead a little bit. It happens in U.S. sports too. It happens in college. But for what we see, the majority of the teams are in the right rankings, and I'm glad they do, because now you get to see where the pots are at, and you get to create a very competitive World Cup.
If we went to your house today, Roger, do you have anything out from your World Cup experience? I went over to Jimmy Conrad's house during the World Cup one year, and he had played for Team USA in the World Cup before that, and he had to take me down to the basement. He had put everything away. If I played in the World Cup, it would be on the front door where people drove by and saw it. If we went to your house, what would we see?
You would see zero memorabilia in my living room, in my basement, nowhere. And there's no memorabilia of my wife either. We just don't do that. I don't know. We just keep it in a little box, and it's all in there. A lot of Olympians do tattoos for going to the Olympics. I have zero tattoos. I don't know why. That's just what it is.
Did you play with Mo Johnston? Did you guys overlap? He was way ahead.
He is way ahead of me, but I know who he is. He's probably watching Scotland. He probably could have been in a World Cup with Scotland, actually.
Yeah, he was. He played in the 1990 World Cup, and I went over and did a story with him, and because it's famous.
Yeah.
He missed an open net goal that would have been the equalizer that would have got them on, and he missed it. I was back in Ireland in 1998, 8 years later, and they played that missed open net goal like 20 times. Maurice Johnson ruined Scotland's chances, and so I went back and did a story with him, and he did have a jersey up, but he said it brought back bad memories in his basement.
Yeah, see, I love opening my boxes, and just finding like a medal there and stuff. Even when I was a kid, it's good to see that. But we don't have them on the walls. It's just, I don't know why, but hey, maybe one day if I have a big office, I can put it in there.
There we go. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and we will regroup, reorganize, get all of the groups and pots figured out, and we will be right back. All right, we're back on KCTV 5 Plus as we react to the FIFA World Cup 2026 group stage draw. We now have the clear picture of Group D, which is the United States group. We know that out of pot 2, they will get Australia. Out of pot 3, they will get Paraguay. And out of pot 4, they will get the UEFA Playoff C team, which will be one of the 4 of Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo. Roger, you're the expert here on the worldwide soccer scene. How do you think this group shakes out for the United States?
Very accessible, and if I was to say in the playoff one, I do not want Turkey, just because Turkey it's a known soccer nation. They got a great league, great players, and so that would make it very difficult in the group, but a very accessible group, I would say, for the United States.
Very accessible group for the United States. I think that's good. That's music to American soccer fans' ears. As far as they're avoiding, they're not matched up as a playoff team with any of the groups that could get Italy into the field. We know that they're going elsewhere as well, so that's a success as well.
Yeah. And then, you get to avoid Italy, who are been champions of the world 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. They also have gone into World Cup as the underdogs, and they end up just destroying everybody and winning the World Cup. They're very tough defensively to crack, and so that's a nation you don't want to end up. They're very passionate. We all know the Italians, very passionate people, and if they get into World Cup, they're going to be a tough team. They're going to be a tough team. There's a lot of Italians in America. They probably end up in New York. But yeah, and then I get to see. Say it again.
Oh, I was just going to say, Roger, United States is going to be, we understand, playing in Los Angeles. They chose to center there and do their work there. Is Southern California, is that a spot that Team USA is going to feel at home in?
So if I'm thinking about it, the rest of the United States is extremely hot. And if I'm thinking about it, California has the normal climate. It gets hot, but doesn't get hot as other places east of that. And so I think the best place is California. And then you go up to Seattle, I think, is the second game. And in Seattle, the weather is great. And then you get to come back to LA. So I think U.S. is playing it well by doing that because, let the other teams and the other groups play in Texas, play in Miami, play in Kansas City, which is very hot. And so I just think that the strategy there it's amazing. So I think the host nation gets to pick that. I think Mexico has done it well too, and Canada. Canada stays above the zone where it's not hot. So it's going to benefit them later because, as I was telling him earlier, I don't know how many players you get to take to the World Cup. I know now there's 5 subs. Back then it was 3 subs, and now with the 5 subs, back then you get to take 23 players to the World Cup. And so you have a very small roster, and you have to figure it out with that roster. If you get to the next stages, how do you play? And so you don't want the players to be fatigued, right? And so now, in the later stages, hoping the United States goes through, they can go now play in areas that is hot. And the players in the United States are also used to that, but you don't want to get at the beginning, and then on game 4 or 5, you're already gassed. So for me, it's a great location.
Yeah.
We have heard a lot of complaints about the United States as a host country for the World Cup based on what happened last summer with the Club World Cup, where they had match after match after match played at outdoor stadiums like in Charlotte, North Carolina, places like that, where they had lightning delays and heat delays. We had a heat delay here in Kansas City for the women's side. I know you're aware of that this last season, a nationally televised game on CBS that got pushed back and ended up being blown off television because it was too hard to start. Or should we be concerned about lightning and heat in Kansas City and the other one that jumped out at me that I thought could be a problem would be
you said Miami earlier.
Yeah, Miami. Those 2 outdoor stadiums, should we be concerned about that?
The weather is the weather. You just got to go through it, and it's how you prepare your team for these events. It's going to happen. There's always something happening, around this sport because it's the outdoor sport. But I just think people are going to deal with it. We're going to deal well with it. It's either a game starts at 4 and not 2, or a game starts at 6, and it's supposed to be in the noon, like in the afternoon. It's part of the sport. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But what I know is going to be a great event. The Club World Cup was planned very soon. A national team World Cup, a World Cup, that's planned over 4 years ahead. Some nations get 10, 15 years ahead now, or 14 years ahead now, because we know where it's going to be in 20-something now.
Yeah.
And so that, you get to prepare that. And I think that's going to be a spectacle here in the United States. Hopefully the weather, fingers crossed, doesn't happen. And it could happen. It could happen. But, if it's in terms of weather, if it gets too hot, hey, the heat, it happens. Sometimes the World Cup was done in Qatar, which is
Desert.
the desert. And the World Cup was done in South Africa, which is cold. It's cold for Honduran nation, right? Not for me. I grew up in the United States a little bit, but for a lot of Honduran players, right? So you got to get used to that. And Brazil was a little cold in the south, and then in the north it was hot. And so it's part of the environment. And I think it's probably going to happen. I need to go back to 94 because I don't think the weather has changed much different from 94, right? So we got to go back to how United States dealt with that.
Yeah.
For sure, it benefits a country that plays in hot weather.
And Roger, Group J, we've had our eyes on Group J because we know that there are 2 group stage matches coming to Kansas City. That group we now know is Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. We've talked about Argentina.
Yeah.
But does
you got the mayor over here hanging out.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Does anything
we
else?
got a river game. We got a celebrity over here. Everybody knows Roger Espinosa is coming up, asking for selfies and pictures all day long.
Yeah.
Does anything from Group J
sorry.
stand out? It's Argentina, Algeria,
Can you name me
Austria,
again,
and Jordan. Argentina, Austria, Algeria, and Jordan.
It's a group, obviously, that Argentina seems as a team to go. And for me, I would try to go to Austria for a European team. But Algeria has a lot of players that were born in France, right? That have the France culture in them. They play in France, so you can almost say that they're a European team too. And it's a nation with a lot of history in soccer. And Jordan, it's their first World Cup actually. And so it'll be great to see them, to get to see their culture. They've never been in World Cups, and there's a culture coming to Kansas City. They never had barbecue, I bet you, in their life. So they'll get to have barbecue. And the Argentinians are the kings of barbecue and cooking.
That's
things,
right.
So
and
in terms of culture, right, and in terms of competition, I can see very good games in our group with Austria and Algeria.
Yeah, and I just worry that Jordan kind of screwed the whole thing up because we were about to have Argentina, Austria, Algeria play at Arrowhead. The alliteration puns would have been fantastic.
Yeah, but if I had to say a group right here, and I know we might be going later, but group of death right here, England, Croatia, Panama, and Ghana. That's going to be a tough group, and unfortunately, one of those, my top teams there, I love Panama from CONCACAF from our side.
Yeah.
But I think England, Croatia, and Ghana are going to fight for that. And one of them is going to be, ended up being out. I think Ghana playing in hot weather could benefit from that. Being from an African nation. And then it's up to England and Croatia to go for them.
And I mean, Croatia has such a big following here in Kansas City, Kansas, especially over on Strawberry Hill. Neil, I know you know about St. John's up there. You probably, maybe that's your second home sometimes on the weekends. I don't know, but they've got a big party group up there in Strawberry Hill that gets together every single year to cheer on the Croatian team.
No, it's going to be fun. I can't wait for this. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to cover it when it was in the United States back in 1994. We covered it from afar and enjoyed it. We saw the Women's World Cup and enjoyed that from afar. It is going to be so exciting to be here in Kansas City with so many thousands of people coming in to find out what we know, and that is that Kansas City is a lot more than what you think it is.
Yeah, and I mean, nail on the head there. I just can't wait for everybody to see. I mean, I feel like that Kansas City's been elevated on the world stage so much over the last 10 years, but this is just going to continue that elevation, and we're just going to continue to climb, and for the rest of the world to see what Kansas City has to offer. An extremely exciting time for, again, this is going to be the biggest event that's come to our city pretty much ever.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and then we will be back. Katie Mars had her eyes on every single group. She will break it down for us and give us another set of eyes on what could be coming to Kansas City next summer. All right, welcome back into the KCTV5 newsroom and the KCTV5 Plus stream. It is our World Cup group stage final draw reaction show. I'm Gabe Swartz, joined by Neil Jones and Katie Marr. We've been talking. Katie, you've been over there dissecting all the groups. We've seen Group D. We've seen what the U.S. is going to have. You've got all these notes mapped out.
Notes.
Can I copy off you?
What's standing out to you?
All right. Well, first off, Australia being in Group D in there with the USA is a good pull for the U.S. because as the pot 2 team in their group, they're the lowest in pot 2. So that's ideal if USA, makes past Paraguay in that opening round. I'm excited. We could be getting Argentina, possibly Messi, if he does play this year, to Kansas City, since Argentina is that pot 1 team in Group J, and we know we are going to have 2 matches from Group J playing in Kansas City. And yeah, there's a lot to I'm looking at, I've got all the numbers, everything is mapped out. A really exciting thing to look forward to in terms of the quarterfinal match. If France or Portugal can win Group K, their match would be played at Arrowhead, I believe. And with Portugal, you have Cristiano Ronaldo. France, you have Mbappe. A lot of stars could be coming to Arrowhead this year. Already, when you take in the fact that games we know we're going to get there, with Argentina, Messi being there, Germany, them being the pot 1 team in Group E. And I think that there are some favorable matchups in those groups to begin with. So I like what we're seeing in Group E, F, and J, where we know we're going to get some of those Kansas City matches, and we'll find out for sure tomorrow. But overall, I think these are going to be really good games and really big countries coming in too.
To me, that's almost bigger than the teams, because if you get a team that has a massive following, even though the team might not be a team that might win the World Cup, if they have a massive following, that's what we're going to notice in Kansas City. That's what's going to fill up the restaurants. That's what's going to fill up the bars. I don't go to bars. Gabe goes to bars. Gabe, it'll fill up your favorite bars. It'll be fabulous. And we're going to be doing more stories probably on the fans in Kansas City than we are the players in Kansas City.
So we've talked about it, the groups to watch before we knew where teams were going. Now we can talk about the groups that are in the groups that are bringing group stage matches to Kansas City. So we've already talked about, with Roger and Bill out at Power and Light, Group J, which Kansas City hosts 2 group stage matches. That was our key thing to watch. Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. The other 2 groups to watch that we have not talked about yet, Group E and Group F. Group E, Germany, Ecuador, Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire, and then Curacao. And then Group F, the Netherlands, Japan, so Neil might be on the Pikachu hunt again, Tunisia, and then the winner of playoff D.
Neil's going to be playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be working, and he's going to be on his phone playing Pokemon Go.
That is going to be your beat.
So Neil, Germany could be on its way to Kansas City. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a massive country. It's a massive following for that team. And forget trying to get Greg Daly said, hey, somebody said Grunauers will be perfect for him. You're not going to be able to get into Grunauers if Germany comes, because they're all going to want to go out and get the best German food that Kansas City has to offer, at least the only German food I've had here in Kansas City. I think that's a win-win. Not only are they a great side, they come in as a number 9 ranking in FIFA, although I've been told that the rankings lag a lot more in international soccer than they do in other sports, so I don't know that they might be better than 9. Ecuador is a scary team. They're in the top 25. Ivory Coast and Curacao. Don't know anything about them at all. But the bottom line is Germany is like the Yankees or the Chiefs or a team that's been big and hot and they win all the time. They're going to bring a lot of fans.
Absolutely. Katie, any other groups stand out to you? Anything else you're keeping an eye on?
I mean, I think when you look at Group H, Spain has a really favorable outcome. They're already ranked number 1 coming into this, because in pot 1 they're right after the 3 host countries. And then when you look at the ranking of their other 3 teams in Group H, which are Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay, they're all ranked pretty low. I think that Spain has a clear path to winning its group. So that draw worked out pretty favorable for the top team. But I'm also very excited about Group L. England and Croatia in the same group. that's going to be big. And of course, they also have Ghana and Panama in there. But yeah, those jump out at me for sure. And Group A, I think, is also going to be exciting. But yeah, those are the main ones I'm looking at.
Katie, Group L, you bring that up. Roger Espinosa told us, he said, if you're looking for the group of death, it might be Group L. England could have their hands full with 3 teams that can all play. And Panama can play in the heat.
Get a favorable matchup.
And Panama can play in the heat. I think that's a big deal. I don't think people realize soccer around the world is played as a cold weather sport during the winter. They have a break in the middle of winter, but it's a cool and cold weather sport. It is not used to the players have a major problem coming over here and playing in the summer. There have been people who said, I will not go to MLS as it was constituted. They're getting ready to change because I don't want to play in the heat. It's ridiculous. We don't play soccer in the heat. So it'll be interesting to see how England, will they wilt? They'll probably come over. They'll probably train someplace really warm. And then obviously Ghana knows all about heat, and so does Panama.
Absolutely.
Yeah, something else to consider with looking at the groups that could be coming in Kansas City, Austria and Germany, both in Group J and in E. That could be a lot of German speakers in Kansas City next summer. So that's something to look out for.
That'd be good for you, right? Right?
I could talk to all of them. I can ask them how they are and what their names are, and that's it.
Just don't say mean things about Gabe and I. Just don't say anything bad about Gabe and
I will say we spent some time in the 11 o'clock hour and talking about our wish list and things that we didn't want to see. And I specifically mentioned not wanting to see Ecuador because they tied
I thought of you right away, Gabe.
a third of the matches in their qualifiers, and they are in Group E. So there's a 25% chance that they will be coming to Kansas City, of which case, if that happens, I would be slightly disappointed, I think, by the prospect
should,
of a
run
0-0
for
draw at
cover.
Arrowhead. Yeah.
Guys,
Gabe should be afraid.
Guys, we used to, back in the NASL days, before there was a lot of cable, those matches were not on television. So you'd go out there with a camera and shoot the match. And there was many the time that you would get a team that was defensive-minded, and they felt very good about going into Tulsa, which was a hard place to play because it was a narrow field, AstroTurf football field with a crown in it. So soccer players, they're like, you're kicking the ball, and the ball moves. It's like a golf green, it breaks, and they hated it. Well, so they would play defensively. Your highlight might be somebody shot a ball over the net. It didn't touch anything, but that's the only highlight I get, and you just shoot the whole game. So fortunately, we'll be able to get the highlights off of network television, but that might be Ecuador, an Ecuadorian highlight.
Yeah, we'll see. I also have my eyes on Group B because that figured to be an interesting group with the fact that Canada, which is the worst of the 3 host nations, was the pot
in ranking.
In ranking.
They were playing better than anybody last summer.
In ranking, they are the worst of the 3 teams in pot 1, and as such, it figured to be possibly one of the weaker groups. Well, if Italy is going to qualify for this tournament, they will qualify as the playoff A winner, and they are in that group. So the team that's not even qualified for the World Cup yet, if they get in, will likely be favored to win that group.
Who else is in that? So it's Canada, which is ranked 27th.
And then Switzerland, which is ranked 23rd, I believe, and Qatar. Qatar. Switzerland is 17, and Qatar is 51. So Italy would be the highest ranked team if they get in. If it's not Italy in that group, it would be Northern Ireland, Wales, or Bosnia and Herzegovina.
I'm rooting for Northern Ireland. How much fun would it be to have a bunch of Irish people come in?
Well, Group B is not coming to Kansas City.
Oh, they're not?
No. So Group B is not coming to Kansas City. In fact,
because don't they speak English in Ireland?
The Group F that does have a group stage match in Kansas City, their playoff would be playoff D, and playoff D would be either Denmark, North Macedonia, Czechia, or Ireland. So there you go, Neil. There is a chance that Ireland could be there.
I have that down as playoff B with Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, and Albania.
It's possible that I messed that up. So
I mean, we're over here.
Katie, you had your eyes on it.
Yeah, you're over there writing stuff down.
I was locked in.
And we're over here actually trying to do something, and we rely on Greg Daly, who's already placing bets, I think. Greg, are you betting already? on these matches? Can
Legal.
you bet on them? Is it legal to bet? Can you bet on them now?
The groups, there's probably odds out there already, and you can do it in Kansas or
Probably.
Missouri. So
Hey, you wanted to host this.
Well,
Now host it.
Speaking of wish lists, I did mention Germany before. So if they come to Kansas City in Group E, I will be very excited about that.
there you go. Neil, what stands out to you as well for the rest of prepping for the World Cup coming to Kansas City? What are you got your eye on the most?
Well, I wanted to see what the draw was like for the United States, because obviously we would love it if they could have a good run. And I think playing for the United States team to play in a temperate climate is giving up an advantage. I think that you have a huge advantage over some of these teams like England and some of the other places that don't want to play in heat. So you go someplace where a summer night in Los Angeles is 73 degrees. So I don't know. That's where they chose to train. I don't know where they're going to end up playing their matches and stuff. But I just thought it was ridiculous that they built a national training center for Team USA to use out there at Sporting, near where Sporting's offices are. It's the greatest. I did a story out there, and the guy that took me through said, yeah, I was here and took David Beckham through, and David Beckham fell down. He said, why did they build this here? This is the nicest thing I've seen in the United States. There's only one or two in the world that match up with this training facility. All hyperbaric chambers, all the training. They have a University of Kansas, I believe, health system has an office there, so there's physicians there. They have all these practice fields with different types of grass. They have an indoor practice facility. The locker rooms are better than what the Chiefs have. It's unbelievable, and yet Team USA, because we do everything so well that we never win, they choose to center, and let's play in Los Angeles, where we may have to fly 6 hours to Florida to play them.
Well, they wouldn't have to fly anywhere unless or once they get through the group stage, because all of their matches in the group stage are on Pacific time. I actually think that's the weird thing that Canada did to themselves, is they've got matches in Toronto and Vancouver.
Yeah,
so
right.
They are going to do...
That's a political decision up
yes,
there.
But
they talked about that. I mean, you lived up there. You know how it is between the two provinces. I mean, it's a big deal. Either you're from the West or you're from traditional Canada.
Yeah, there you go. Well, all right. So Group J that we've had our eyes on a bunch. I think that it's worth noting some of the countries that could come to Kansas City will be very excited for their first World Cup in quite some time. Austria, Argentina, we know is the favorite. They've won the World Cup in 2022. They've won a ton previously. Austria, which is in that group, first World Cup appearance in 28 years.
Wow.
Algeria, first World Cup since 2014. So they've gone through 2 cycles without being in the tournament. And then Jordan, who is also in that group, has never played in the tournament before. Katie, that level of excitement, what does that say for Kansas City?
I mean, it's got to say that there's going to be more people here if those teams do come to Kansas City, because this is going to be like a once-in-a-lifetime experience for a lot of these fans native to these countries. Their kids are going to want to see it. The families are going to take them out here. I think that means big things for Kansas City. Like, all in all, when you look at the teams in Groups E, F, and J, and then the possible winner of Group K, there are huge teams coming to Kansas City in huge countries with a lot of excitement around their teams. I think Kansas City is going to be an extremely attended host site. Like, there's so much excitement when you get to see something that, it's like Cowboys fans getting to see their team in the NFC Championship. Hasn't happened since the 90s, but when it does in 30 years, everyone's going to go,
It's not going to happen this year. That's for darn sure. Did you see him play
In
last
30
night?
years.
There's an aspect of this we have not just gotten into, but I know it's going to be a big part of our coverage in the days and weeks to come, and that is, okay, there were a bunch of people in Kansas City, in this region, who have Airbnbs, who are going to rent out their house. They're going to rent out whatever you can rent out. Can you rent out apartments? They're going to rent out whatever they can to try to take advantage of people coming in. You hear these astronomical fees, $700 a night, $800 a night that you can have if you have a 3 or 4 bedroom house. So there are people that went there. They had a class 2 or 3 weekends ago. They had a class on a Friday and a Saturday. Saturday was like 6 or 7 hours. It was like a big deal telling you, okay, here are the rules and restrictions in Missouri and Kansas City. Here are the rules and restrictions in Overland Park and Johnson County with some of those communities. Here's Wyandotte County. There have been a lot of people who are waiting, people like my wife, waiting to see who's coming in. Are we going to try to do this? And I think that Katie, I think you're right. I think you're going to see anytime, if they do indeed get Argentina here, I think that there are going to be a lot of people looking to follow their team, and that it's going to open up some opportunities.
Yeah, the Argentina of it all, just having the idea of either having Messi on the field or, like he said, he would be in the stands. Like he said he'll be there no matter what, just whether or not he plays is up in the air. Like, people will come just to try and see him. The same, it's like when Taylor Swift fans want to come to Chiefs games, they can try and look in Travis Kelce's family suite and try and find her in there. It's exactly like that, but to an even higher level. So whether or not Messi plays, like, having the reigning champions with the most famous player in the world, like, that's going to be huge for Kansas City.
So are they going to stick you out there with a camera and a tripod and have you get video of Messi walking in? Is that what's going to happen like you do with Taylor? Have you seen Taylor in person?
Yeah.
I have not. I've always been out on the field. I've never seen her in person.
We're besties. Me, her, and her mom wave at each other on the wagon last year.
So if Argentina does come to Kansas City, and even if they get a match with Jordan, for example, who is one of the lower ranked, or is the lowest ranked team in that group of Group J, it's worth noting in 2022 when Argentina won the World Cup, when they were in their group stage match, they lost to Saudi Arabia, who is currently ranked 60th. Jordan is ranked 66th. So the idea that just because Argentina comes, they're just going to come and thump whichever lower ranked team is playing them isn't a sure thing. Absolutely.
And that is why it is not a one-and-done tournament like the NCAA tournament. Soccer is it's so like you score an early goal and now you can back everybody up. It changes the dynamic completely. So that's why you have group stage, and so you have multiple teams coming out of the group because they don't want to knock somebody out who's a great team that gets knocked out by a fluke.
Yep.
Like Missouri last year being knocked out by Drake, a fluke. Mizzou was slated to go to the Final Four, and they got beaten down in Wichita by Drake.
Drake was my Cinderella, so kind of predicted that there.
There you go. All right, well, we are going to take a break.
No. We have 18 seconds.
Oh, 18 seconds.
No,
for Neil.
we have a minute 15 seconds to film.
Okay.
See, this is television. So talk for a minute
Figuring
15.
it out.
Okay. Neil, I'll ask you and Katie each your one big takeaway from today's group stage draw.
That Katie studied a lot more than I did, and I got caught out. And now I need to steal her notes.
Mascots.
I need to steal the notes, Katie. You got to bring your notes over here.
My main takeaway is that I'm going to hide these notes. And I'm going to bury them in my desk. Although I am going to try and steal Neil's list of mascots. And I am going to do my research and find out if the mascot is in fact Pikachu.
Listen,
that'd be really funny.
Don't look into that too closely. I mean, I'm a sports journalist. There's a difference between sports journalism and journalism, right, Gabe?
Absolutely. All right, Katie, your big takeaway from today, and what are you looking forward to next summer?
My big takeaway is that I think Kansas City lucked out with the teams that could possibly be coming here. Like, we have some of the top followings in the world in some of the teams that could be here, and I'm talking about Germany, Japan, Argentina, the Netherlands. That's another huge name that we haven't really mentioned yet. So I think we have an awesome combination of top contenders and underdogs who are full of fans that are going to want to witness this once-in-a-lifetime experience, and will come to Kansas City for it.
We're done.
All righty. Thanks for watching here on KCTV5 Plus. We will have more news at 3:30 on KCTV5, more reaction from Power and Light with Roger Espinosa, Bill Hurlbrink, and the rest of our crews from around the Metro as we get set for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Thanks for watching, and we will see you later.